to talk about Cooney Lexus now.
I want to talk about wow, and I'm so wowed by this furniture that
It's
we got.
it's
from
very
Wow Furniture.
comfortable.
This week is your last chance for the Lexus December to Remember sales event, and they're holding it over into January because it's going so well. At Colorado's #1 Lexus dealer, Cooney Lexus of Greenwood Village. I'm going to go out and visit those guys in the next few days. Enjoy the best offers of the year on your favorite Lexus models and view their great selection of new and pre-owned vehicles at CooneyLexus.com.
No, Cooney Lexus of Greenwood Village.com.
Well, explain to them why I can't do that.
because
I think I'm colorblind.
because where Woody's looking, it's in blue, and it's very dark, and Woody has trouble seeing far away dark things.
Yeah, but truth in advertising, I'm getting cataract surgery on Wednesday. So
Oh, are you?
That's why I said we're going to have Pirate Day on Wednesday. Did you get my memo on that?
Yes,
Yeah,
I
Pirate
remember
Day.
now. Are you going to be here?
Yeah, I'll
Oh,
be here.
okay.
I'm coming straight from
So
the
you're
surgery.
working
here.
blind
I
here.
play with
Is that
blind.
what you-
No,
Play hurt?
blind. I'm better than you. I'm coming right here from the surgery.
All right, well, if you're so damn good, how about you do a commentary right now?
Yes, I'm doing Woody's World. And it's going to be about what we saw yesterday. That's not enough of a good thing. We saw yesterday why there should have been a playoff 15 years ago. And the Bowls worked together. There was a conspiracy, and we all know it. They worked together. And in fact, you know one of the guys, Steve Hatchell, actually got the perfect name. He hatched this conspiracy when he was the executive director of the Orange Bowl. And you may not remember Steve Hatchell, but he was the sports information director of Colorado.
Many
now
moons
he's
ago,
involved
yeah.
with the National Football Foundation. But Steve Hatchell, great guy, and he and I have argued about this. He wanted his best to not have there be a national championship game. So they the Bowls came up with the Bowl Championship Series, and they thought they could ward off the championship games. Well, we saw yesterday how great it could be. Sure, the first game didn't work out so well in terms of if you are a Florida State fan, as one of my guys is, or if indeed you wanted a close game. But the second game was as close as it could possibly be. So why not more of a good thing? I have maintained for the last 15, 20 years that there should be an 8-team playoff. And you go, really, 8 teams? You have the conference champions of the Big Five, that would be 5, and then you take 3 wild cards. And they could have been, one of them would be from one of the other conferences. One could be, if Notre Dame had collapsed after the Florida State game, that you'd had a Notre Dame type team in there. But think about it. TCU belonged there. There wasn't enough room, but TCU belonged in the Final Four. So that's number 5. Baylor, even though it lost to Michigan State, showed that it belonged. Michigan State showed again that the
good
Big
team.
Ten was good. So those are 3 teams right there that you could have added. You could have added another SEC team or a quality team like a Boise State, which goes and wins against
Fiesta
Arizona,
Bowl,
wins
yeah.
the Fiesta Bowl. Every time they go down there, they should just make them the home team every year.
I love the way they play.
Next year, I think when I got through last night, I went, well, we only got one more game left. Why not have one more week of it? That was like the AFC and the NFC championships. I want to get one more round in where there would be 4 games, and then you have 2 games and 1 game. So join with me between now and next year. We're going to say that we take it out of the hands of those 11 people that are in a conference room somewhere without Archie Manning, who couldn't be a part of it. As you go, 5 conference championships, 1 team from a non-championship caliber, if you will.
The Mountain West.
And then 2 teams that would be considered in the top 10.
At-large teams.
At-large teams. And you got a perfect scenario. So you got to do it next year. That's right. If 4 is good, 8 is great. That's Woody's World for today. Brought to you by Cooney Lexus.
Well, all right, a couple of things.
With Wow Furniture.
Number one, I'm going to play the student-athlete card here. Even though it should be athlete-student, I'm going to play the student-athlete card. Now you're asking these students,
I'm waiting for this one.
really carve out a month of their life Forget about academics. I mean, if you think these kids are going to be able to concentrate on academics while they're going through a 1-month playoff, which is what it will be essentially, is that fair to the students?
Oh, probably not. But what do we do in basketball, Les?
That's true.
We take them away from their studies for a month. What do we do in baseball?
That's true.
I'm talking about college baseball. They have a college World Series. They have regionals.
They leave for
Think
2
about
weeks,
the
yeah.
regionals. They have regionals for a couple of weeks. So there's at least 3 weeks where their teams, you know, you're talking about
Okay.
eight teams out of how many? I think there are about 250 Division I teams now, close to 250
Yeah.
teams. So you're talking about 8 teams. You're talking about the reality. The reality is they are athlete students. They are training them. And this is where I have a real problem. This could have been Woody's world. I have a real problem when they talk about, well, you're taking away from their academics. 90% of them are going to college to prepare for what they're doing in life. I went to college to prepare to be a journalist. I know it didn't work out very well. You went to college because you wanted
the
to go
same
into
reason.
broadcasting, I
Yes.
would think. My daughter went to college because she wanted to be involved in computers and mathematics. She got trained. If somebody had come to her in her sophomore year and said, "You're brilliant, we want you to come work for her," I would have said, "Quit school." So I don't blame them for quitting school. And I don't think we can sit here and be hypocrites and say, "Oh, you know, you can't take those guys away from a month." This is what they're training to do.
All right, let me ask you this then. Are you proposing that they add a game to the schedule, or will each college team have to pare back one game to allow
That's-
for the extra weekend of the playoffs?
No, that's not going to happen.
So now you're asking these student athletes to play 14 and 15 games in 1 year. You don't think that's too much?
No.
Then we need to pay them better.
When you played,
we need to pay them.
When you played Little League Baseball, well, that's coming.
It's a different
They're gonna
argument,
start
I know,
playing
but
next
we
year.
need to pay 'em.
When you played Little League Baseball, maybe you didn't have the same situation because I'm a lot older than you. We played 1 or 2 games a week
Yeah,
in the
so did
summer.
we. Yeah.
I wanted to play 4 games a week. They can play. I mean, you cut back on maybe some of the training sessions.
This is
some of the
football. This
practice.
ain't baseball. All right.
I know, but they can
Much more
they
brutal
can-
physically,
They can do
you know.
it, and it prepares them again for the NFL, where you play up to 20 games,
Okay. All right. You know what? Yeah, I think it's really tough to find.
and it's only 8
the
schools.
four.
It's only 8 schools. And didn't you feel like?
So after next year, if they're like a bunch of really good games, you're going to call for 16?
No, eight's where I want to be.
Okay.
Eight's where I want to be. I think
you're
the
gonna get it.
NCAA basketball tournament has gotten too big. If you
Yeah.
ask me, although I had a brilliant idea once, I thought, and only one person in the country agreed with me and called me on the phone. I said, let everybody in the NCAA in. Once again, the reason
Yeah.
why I know it's close, it's like 249 schools. Let everybody in. Let's just have a really big dance.
It only adds 2
And-
more
and I
rounds.
was serious.
It
Yeah.
adds 2 more rounds.
Right, and you have buys, stuff like that. Do you know who called me and said, "You were totally right"?
Bobby Knight.
You're absolutely right.
Seriously?
But
That
Bob
was just
Knight
a guess.
called me. I am at home in Cheeseman Park, down the street here, and it's a snowy day in Denver, and I had written this, and I pick up the phone, and somebody says, "Hold for Coach Knight." You know, yeah, okay. You know, like if somebody called you and said, "Hold for Vince Lombardi."
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Woody, I just want to tell you, I think most of what you write's crap. You were absolutely right. He said, "You and I have got to get on this. I think you're absolutely right." Then we started talking about the war in Iraq because he's a military history
Sure,
guy.
sure.
So, no, you can't do that in football. But what is wrong with? Do I want 16 teams? No, I have decided over the years, because I originally thought maybe 16 teams. 8 would be right. You get the 5 conferences involved. Then you have 3 basic at large, and you could have a Colorado State. You could have a Boise State. That lets the other teams have an opportunity. That's your version of Gonzaga in the NCAA tournament, that maybe you have Cinderellas. Or I just think that after seeing those games yesterday, all the other games are so worthless.
Yeah.
You talked about it.
And the attendance numbers are down, and
I couldn't sit through most of the bowl games more than maybe a quarter or so. Well, if you added a Cotton Bowl as one of those preliminary games, if you added the old Gator Bowl. I think that you can bring more excitement because the bowl games have been rendered worthless.
True.
That is okay. Here's your runner-up award. You know, you passed goal. Here's $20. You won second prize in a beauty contest, as I wrote the other day. The bowls are worthless. They've been rendered worthless. The only thing they're good for are chamber of commerces. So.
All right.